30 minutes past 6 p.m. You're live here on GHOne TV. It's time for News Tonight with me, Natalie, for a look at our top stories. Coming up tonight, a Greek minister, Brian Echampong, is assuring the risk of food shortage in the country will be subdued by November.
What we are experiencing is not a drought condition. It's not a drought, but it's a dry spell that has been extended.
Also coming up, Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital refutes claims of suspending surgeries, clarifies it is attending to only emergency surgeries until broken elevator in the surgical block is repaired. Also ahead tonight on Election Hub, flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, promises to install 5,000 CCTV cameras across the country if voted as president in the upcoming December 7 general elections.
Now, CCTV on all the streets in all of our regional capitals and all of our district capitals.
Ahead in sports, Inaki Williams and Majid Ashmeru returns as Black Stars coach. Otto Addo names 23-man squad for a double AFCON qualifier against Angola and Niger. And on the foreign front, UN calls for de-escalation as West Bank raid kills at least a dozen of Palestinians. We bring you the details of these stories and much more news. Please stay. Watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. You can watch our bulletin all across the world on Facebook and X at GHOne TV. Let's get started with health, as the management of Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital has refuted claims of suspending surgeries at the facility, clarifying that they are currently attending to emergency surgeries only until the malfunctioning elevator at the surgical block is repaired. Management has assured that the broken elevator will be fixed by Monday, September 2. My colleague Evelyn Araba Edu reports.
Barricaded with chairs with no indication of functionality, this is the current state of the two elevators serving hundreds of patients and relatives at the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital's main surgical block. These elevators were installed in 2011 and decades on, this is its current state. The situation has forced patients, relatives and staff to use the staircase since Monday, August 26.
I'm very angry. We cannot live in a nation where health, the health of the people is what will build our economy, and nobody cares about what happens to the people. You understand? I mean, surgical block is a 6th floor, building. Somebody is goes into surgery at the 1st floor, and the person has to climb to the 2nd floor to go and lie in the ward there to be taken care of. It doesn't make sense to me. You understand? When I was born, our family house is just across the main road over there. I know how Korle-Bu was, and I see Korle-Bu today, and it is nothing to write home about. So this nonsense have to stop in this country.
But management of the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital say its engineers are working to fix the elevators by Monday, September 2. According to the head of public relations, Mustafa Salifu, they were informed about the situation on Monday, 26th August, which engineers were instructed to get it fixed within a week.
It was on Monday that the department informed management that the lift had broken down. So steps were immediately kicked into motion to have the problem resolved. So since then, engineers have been invited and they have since been working on the lift. And then we have given our period a duration of 1 week to have this thing fixed. We have initiated the procurement process to procure a brand new lift for the department. For the delivery of that, for the delivery and installation, that may take about 6 months. But in the meantime, the remedial action that we're taking, we hope it will keep the work going on whilst we take our time to replace the lift at the surgical department.
However, management say it has redirected emergency surgeries to other theatres within the facility and put on hold only non-emergency cases.
This is something that is unexpected, but in the meantime, we have suspended and reorganized some of our operations. That is, we are saying that for new non-emergency cases, that is the cold cases, the emergencies are those that is emergencies and urgent cases are cases that when you don't do something may happen to the patient. So that we have reorganized, and then some of the surgeries are being done in other theaters. We have about 23 theaters spread across the hospital, and then the largest, we have a decent number that are in the surgical block. But for the emergencies, we have turned some of them into other areas, like the gynae theater, like the orthopedics theater at the accident center. We have the pediatric surgery units theaters, a set of theaters that are also in the children's block. So these are all theaters where we have redirected the emergency cases to. So at the moment, we are seeing to that. Our doctors are working, the surgeons are working on that, and we want to assure them that the engineers are working very hard to restore it and then restore normal operations, and then we want to apologize to them for any inconvenience this may have caused to our cherished patient and their relatives.
Currently, the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital has 23 theatres dotted across the hospital. The main surgical block, which is having its elevators malfunctioning, is a 6-story building, 10 emergency cases on a daily basis, and about 230 non-emergency admissions in a month. Evelyn Araba Edu, reporting from the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital's main surgical block.
We'll bring you more on that subsequently. You're watching News Tonight. We've got Insight next. This evening, 42-year-old teacher from Fufuso near Damongo in the central Gonja district of the Savannah region, Muniru Abdul-Latif, laments each day at the prospect of going hungry and poor next year. Abdul-Latif, like other farmers in the area, after investing his entire salary and savings into farming, weeps at the sight of the failed crops, leaving him fearful for the future. Peter Adato reports.
In the heart of the Savannah region, the parched fields of Fufuso tell a story of despair and shattered dreams. A 42-year-old teacher who has dedicated his life to both education and farming now faces the harsh reality of a failed harvest that threatens not only his livelihood but the very survival of his family. This year, he expanded his farm from 50 to 70 acres, investing about 20,000 cedis per acre, hoping to increase his yield. But instead of reaping the rewards of his hard work, he is now faced with a devastating loss.
Normally, last year it was 50, but I've added 20 acres to it this year, making 70 acres. So the amount I've invested into it, because of the drought, it's like all of us are confused, and the government should have even let the agri minister to come to Savannah region and see what actually is happening. The drought have done all our crops.
The teachers' distress is compounded by the severe drought that has gripped the Savannah region. The drought has destroyed all crops in most parts of the northern sector, and the voice of Muniru Abdul Latif permeates with frustration.
Because I'll pump my salary inside. So, pumping my salary inside the farm, thinking that I will get profit from it at the end, zero. So, I'm really confused. I don't know what to do.
This is all that remains of the 36-acre cultivated by Karim Wahab, who now deeply regrets the effort and investment he poured into the land. The drought has rendered their efforts futile despite applying fertilizer to their crops. Now, they face the daunting task of repaying for the fertilizer and other investments, even as they grapple with the stark reality that his...
I've applied the first fertilizer, and because of the drought, look at how the maize is. For now, I'm thinking of how to pay the money. And with this maize, how can I get to eat? Even talking of paying the government. So I'm appealing to government to come to our aid.
The drought has not only devastated crops but also the hopes and dreams of those who depend on the land. The overwhelming concerns remains. How will he and others like him survive the coming year? As they stand on a barren farm looking out over the withered maize, their plea is clear. Government, come to our aid. See what's happening here so you can understand how dire our situation is. We are desperate for your help.
Well, meanwhile, Minister for Food and Agriculture and Abetifi MP Dr. Brian Echampong has assured that the threat of a food shortage facing the country will subside by November. Dr. Brian Echampong, who insists that the country is dealing with an extended dry spell and not a drought. According to him, while government had issued an alert to farmers, the message was misinterpreted.
The contingency fund is established by the Constitution for purposes of responding to emergencies. And so when you have not budgeted for some activity and as a result of a crisis, you have to find money to respond to it without jeopardizing your fiscal targets. Then you need money from the contingency, which is also part of the budget, to be able to address those emergencies. And this is why we had to go to the contingency fund. But the process for accessing it is also well articulated in the Constitution. You go to the Finance Committee. That's exactly what we are doing.
During the monthly economic update at the Ministry of Finance, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Brian Echampong, disclosed that the government plans to import 300,000 metric tons of maize and up to 150,000 metric tons of rice as part of efforts to prevent the potential food shortages.
We are hoping to recover both sectors about 600,000 metric tons of maize. So we're going to have a deficit of about 600,000. And we want to import, for now, 300,000 to fill that gap. And same for rice. We have targeted about 75,000 metric tons to start with. Our import horizon number is about 150,000 to ensure that there's enough rice and maize on the market.
Dr. Echampong, who is also MP for Abetifi, dismissed claims of a drought in the country, assuring that the current challenges would ease by November.
What we are experiencing is not a drought condition. It's not a drought, but it's a dry spell that has been extended, causing what we call near drought conditions. but it is not a drought. And this dry spell was actually predicted by the Ghana Meteorological Agency. So we knew about it. We knew that it was going to take some time. We did send an advisory to farmers, which advisory was interpreted differently. So farmers went ahead to plant, and this is where we are.
Now, in a related development, the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, has justified the decision to request for 500 million cedis from the contingency fund as a contingency measure to address the potential food shortage. The minister, who outlined some short-term measures, also disclosed that the government has secured a $1 million insurance premium to protect farmers against drought. Dr. Amin expressed optimism that despite the challenges, the country will still maintain positive economic indicators.
The contingency fund is established by the Constitution for purposes of responding to emergencies. And so when you have not budgeted for some activity, and as a result of a crisis, you have to find money to respond to it without jeopardizing your fiscal targets, then you need money from the contingency, which is also part of the budget, to be able to address those emergencies. And this is why we had to go to the contingency fund. But the process for accessing it is also well articulated in the Constitution. You go to the Finance Committee, that's exactly what we are doing.
Well, let's explore these issues a while longer. I've been joined in studio by my colleague, Edem Kojo, who was at this economic briefing, this monthly economic update. Edem, it's good to have you in studio. Now, first of all, I think it's rather interesting. Typically, we find that the finance minister addresses this update in his capacity alone as a minister. This time, however, he was joined by the agriculture minister, Dr. Brian Champong. Why was that so?
So, as you rightly said, each month, for some time now, ever since he became minister,
right,
the current minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, addresses the media every month. However, one of the teething issues that was on the table today was the potential struggles the economy could face as a result of the looming food shortage,
right,
which is due to what now Brian Champong says is an extended dry spell,
right,
and not entirely a drought in the northern part of the country. So although the minister in his stead had to answer questions on some of these things, the ministry or government thought it wise that it will be prudent for the agric minister to be in there to also prefer some answers on some particular areas which the minister probably may not have the expertise to discuss. So that is why this presser really had some very significant focus on what is happening in our food basket as a country,
right,
and what is done or is being done to mitigate whatever the country is going through.
Absolutely. Now, I know that the finance minister also spoke briefly regarding Cocoa Board's self-financing, sort of contradicting Cocoa Board's self-financing plan. That still has to do with agriculture. Explain that further and other issues that came up.
Okay, so that was one very interesting issue that came up along the line. So if people have followed the news, at least for the past 2 or 3 weeks, Cocoa Board organized a press conference and basically told the whole world that after 32 years of relying on syndicated loans for cocoa purchases, they were not going to go for that loan this year. Now, it's also interesting to know that barely 48 hours after Cocoa Board made that press conference, the minority in Parliament put out a statement accusing the Cocoa Board of not being financially viable to get that loan from outside, for which reason, once they are cut off from the international market, they have been forced to look inward.
Right.
Well, today at the press briefing, the finance minister says we are going for the cocoa loan or the syndicated loan, as well as looking for sources inward. Now, the question that was now posed or was on the mind of many was 2 things. Was it that, did it then mean there was a miscommunication between Cocoa Board and the finance ministry? And when you say looking inward, what exactly do you mean by that? So the finance ministry or the finance minister has explained that this year they are looking to raise $600 million and not $1.5 billion as they used to get in the past, whilst they are hoping to get some $900 million from other sources. Then the Minister of Agric, and it was very important that he was there because he also came to explain something he felt was technical. So according to the Minister of Agric, that's Dr. Brian Champon, he says, and I'm trying to explain in his words, that what happens is that when we go for the syndicated loan, what usually happens is there's an agreed upon price at the beginning of the negotiation. So there's an agreement that whatever price you sell the cocoa on the market from, those who have given you the loan would only pay you a certain amount X. So in the last cocoa season, for instance, the price that was set at the beginning of the season was $2,500 per ton, per metric ton. However, cocoa prices shot up on the international market. But because there was already a pre-existing agreement for $2,500 per metric ton, when it comes to those signed onto the syndicated loan, they still bought it for that cheap. However, he says there is a portion of our cocoa purchases, which is about usually between 10 to 30%, which is actually a direct collateral. So it is when the products are ready that they go and sell it to cocoa producers or cocoa products users and manufacturers, where the price changes along the line. So his justification is that they have taken a decision that because of the losses that was made in terms of the gains they could have got, they have decided to rather reduce the amount of cocoa beans they are going to collateralize with the cocoa beans and with the syndicated loan, and rather leave some more cocoa to have for direct trade and ensure that they get the full value once the price goes up. That was a very interesting justification, but it will be interesting to see what the minority has to say in response to this.
Certainly, it is quite an interesting justification. Now, very briefly, what other issues came up? And of course, in a few months, I mean, to the general elections, we know of typically overspending. How did the finance minister explain the current state of the economy as a whole?
Okay, so the finance minister, once again, and it's something he's been assuring for the last maybe 6 or 7 months, that government will not overspend. Now, in fact, in the media budget, those who follow know that it was actually a reduction in government expenditure. Some will tell you that reduction in government expenditure could be tied to our debt restructuring that is almost done with the external creditors, and so that part has come down. But overall, there is a drop in spending from in the budget. The minister has assured that he would stick to that and government will not overspend. However, the minister made some very interesting revelations that between January and June of this year, government has spent some 10 billion Ghana cedi on road infrastructure.
Between January
and June of 2024. He's saying that all the various road projects we are seeing, including the Ofankor Road, the Winneba Highway, and some other major Adenta roads are all being funded from the government of Ghana budget. And so government is pumping money in there. That is one thing. Another thing that came up is, if you know about the struggling or defunct financial institutions. So one thing came out. Remember last month or 2 months ago, he announced that some 1.5 billion had been approved to be given out. Well, the minister also has revealed that he has given an order to the Controller and Accountant General to disburse 700 million to share or to give to those who have their locked up funds, including those in the controversial Black Shield company, which is Gold Coast Fund Management that had a name of change. Now, according to him, he says once this investment is made, it means that government would have paid 90%
of them.
Of all those.
But there was no clarity as to when it will be made.
So he says he's giving the order. So we are hoping that in the next few days, probably those with Black Shield will probably see or get an alert after they
will be following up on that. Now, before I let you go, Adam, how about as it pertains to the exchange rate? What was said?
So the minister revealed that from January 1 up until date, our exchange rate depreciation stands at 21.5%. That is as at 26th August. However, he was quick to point that if you compare that to last year, using the same period, the depreciation for last year, beginning year to that same date, August 26th, was 22.6%. So he's saying that even though, yes, we are experiencing depreciation, the depreciation rate is lower, hence the economy is improving.
Adam Kojo, thank you so much for joining in studio. Adam Kojo here with GH1 TV, joining on that update. You're watching News Tonight. Now that wraps up Insight. You're welcome back to News Tonight here on GHOne TV. With just a few months to the 2024 general elections, we remain your election hub. Let's take some election-related stories next. On Election Hub tonight, flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, MPP, that's Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has promised to install 5,000 CCTV cameras across the country if voted as president in the upcoming December 7 general elections. The vice president explained that the move will enhance security, reduce crime and protection of property. Dr. Bawumia made these remarks while addressing some electorates in Domkwabena as part of his constituency focus tour.
National security. And I said, what will it take for Ghana to have CCTV on all the streets in all of our regional capitals and all of our district capitals, so that we can see any crime that is taking place, we know, or we can at least have a clue. So they came back to me and they said they needed 50,000 CCTV cameras, and they are going to get 50,000 CCTV cameras. We are going to provide so that the police will have visibility for everyone, but we don't have enough police to be everywhere. Because I know in Accra, I won't mention the name, but someone was murdered, and the CCTV camera caught the murderer leaving the scene, and they went to court the case. So it is very, very important because places like China and so on.
Meanwhile, former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Okwe, Sr., is urging Ghanaians to vote for MPP flag bearer Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia in the December 7 polls since he served them in humility. Speaking at the start of the flag bearers campaign tour of the Domkwabena constituency, Professor Okwe indicated that Dr. Bawumia is an asset who will serve the Ghanaian populace in humility and help accelerate the pace of development of the country.
When there were controversies about election matters, and we had gathered a lot of information from Davis and others at trial, but how to put the team together into an acceptable formula for court. That work was done by who? Dr. Bawumia. Today we have one more day called Mr. Pitch. And all matters as to how we use speech sheet in order to look after the controversies of election. That was the man who stood with God. You and I were not there. My prayer for him morning and night is that we don't just protect him, we don't just keep him, so that this nation Ghana will benefit from a man who is exceptionally gifted as a child of this land. I want us, when we are looking at this man today and the election to come, just look at him compared with President Mahama over one matter. Both of them have been vice presidents. Both of them have been what? Vice president before. What did they do? Comparatively, I want to remind you, this man by himself as vice president, he didn't just sit there. Mind you, our constitution gives the power to the president. They are not co-chairmen.
Well, let's stay on this a while further. My colleague Musa Lansa has been with the team as the flag bearer of the MPP has been engaging in a constituency-focused tour, specifically in the Domkwabena constituency. Now, Musa, good evening to you. Can you run us through which specific places has the flag bearer been to? How is he being received?
Well, we got to Domkwabena constituency the Presbyterian Church here at the Long-Term constituency, where he met with the religious leaders and then traditional rulers at around 3 p.m., where various speakers, including Professor Michael Quay Sr., which we just played, espoused his credentials as somebody who can be trusted to lead the country. So after the engagements at the Presbyterian Church, where he mentioned the installation of 50,000 CCTV cameras across the country to deal with issues of crime, he moved to the tipper truck station, where he had a brief meet and greet session with a tipper truck driver. And right from there, he moved to the Taifa area, where he also had a meet and greet session with the residents at Taifa before coming to the Kwabenya roundabout, where the rally is currently ongoing. The community connect session is currently ongoing. Various speakers have already spoken. Two musicians, Guru, and then one of the gospel artists, Philip Abefi, have both performed. And now he's going to be introduced very shortly to speak to the members of the party in the constituency. So it's been a very brief period here from 2 p.m. where the party supporters started gathering till now. He's been engaging members of the party, as well as some other people who are not identifying with the party, trying to convince them to vote for him. Earlier in the morning, he went to Amasaman, where he inspected a pediatric center that is being built by the Catholic Church. So that is what he's been up to here in the Dom Sabenya constituency of the Greater Accra region.
Right, now, Musa, we have the flag bearer touch on these 50,000 CCTV cameras to be installed in the event that he's voted into office. Aside this, what else has he been touching on? What other policy proposals or promises has he been making?
I didn't get that, Natalie.
I'm asking what other messages he's put forward aside the 50,000 CCTV cameras to be installed.
Well, if I got you right, currently he's moving with members of his campaign team, including Anthony Abeifa-Kabo. I spoke to Anthony Abeifa-Kabo a while ago about the reactions coming from the former president, John Dramani Mahama, who's staging a comeback, that their media engagement on Sunday was meant to disrupt the steam that the manifesto launch of the NBC would attract. And he told me that it's disingenuous, and accusations that the flag bearer and his people bribed the media was ridiculous in his words, that the party did not, or the flag bearers team did not bribe any media, but that it was a means of supporting the journalists who came from across the country to be a part of it. So here's a bit very, very noisy. Right. Speaker after speaker.
Right now, Musa, just very briefly before we let you go, I was asking earlier, what other policy proposals, what other promises the flag bearer has been making aside these CCTV cameras to be installed?
Well, it's very difficult to get you, Natalie.
Right.
It's really very noisy here as the speaker is on talking right now. It's going to be very difficult hearing what you say. But in the next few minutes, he will be addressing the gathering. But he's been rehashing all that he's been saying about digitalization and his agenda to make sure that Ghana has a formalized economy that can attract the needed revenue for the forward development of this country.
Musa Lansa, thank you so much for the update there. My colleague Musa Lansa with the team of the flag bearer of the MPP there in the Kwabena constituency. He'll certainly be engaging him subsequently for more. Now, in other election-related stories, former chief executive of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Chachu Chiketa, has stated that Ghana needs honest leaders to address the needs of the citizens and not those who only perceive Ghana's resources as their personal inheritance. Speaking at the 14th Leadership Dialogue in Accra on the theme Governance, Economic Transformation and Human Development, the renowned legal practitioner emphasized that Ghana's liberation depends on electing honest and technically competent leaders to navigate the nation's challenges.
We are in a situation where it's easy to despair and to say nothing can be done and nothing is possible. But once you sit back and you examine the country's potential, it fires you up with the realization that a lot is possible for our country, and mainly also because of the quality of our human resource. We can rise from the ashes, as we've done in the past, with the right leadership. Leaders who appreciate the enormity of the task at hand and do not seek to minimize it. Leaders who are honest and will not turn the truth upside down. Leaders who realize they need help and have the humility to accept this. Leaders who look for the expertise of people, technically competent people, to solve the problems at hand, irrespective of party colors. We do not need leaders who see themselves as entitled, who consider national resources as an inheritance left for them by their forefathers in Japan. It is leaders who identify with the ordinary person, who have faith in the people, who will harness the power of the people and the God-given resources of our land to rebuild the nation. The leaders must be steadfast and disciplined, ready to stay on the straight and narrow.
We'll certainly bring you more election-related stories in the days ahead here on News Tonight on GHOne TV. In other news this evening, a pressure group calling itself Operation Recover All Loot, ORAL, is urging the Ministry of Finance to take swift action to recover an alleged dubious payment of $34 million made to Service Ghana Auto Group, a company reportedly linked to the daughter of President Akufo-Addo, for the supply of spare parts to the National Ambulance Service. Despite the Ministry of Health denying any payments to the company, ORAL insists that at least $10 million was paid in February 2024, along with previous payments made between 2020 and 2023. At a press conference in Accra, lead convener of the ORAL Brigade and Deputy National Youth Organizer Osman Ayariga stated that the group is committed to taking all necessary measures to recover stolen funds and ensure government appointees face accountability.
Allegations have surfaced regarding payments of about $34 million to the Service Ghana Auto Group for the supply of spare parts, a company associated with the President's daughter. Despite the denial by the Ministry of Health that no payments have been made, there's ample evidence to the effect that Service Ghana Auto Group Limited received not less than $10 million in February 2024, in addition to earlier payments made between 2020 and 2023. These payments were flagged by the Auditor General as being irregular and without justification. The Auditor General found, amongst other things, inflated invoices submitted by the company, reliance on staff of the National Ambulance Service paid by the state for its maintenance, a breach of maintenance schedules and procedures. The conclusion of the Auditor General raises fundamental issues of value for money and corruption, which must attract the attention and action of the Ministry of Finance, which is clothed with the responsibility of managing our public finances prudently and efficiently. On the 4th of September, the Oral Brigade will be assembling at the Ministry of Finance to voice our demands and ensure that our concerns are heard.
Well, meanwhile, the Operation Recover or Loot Brigade says that despite the governing New Patriotic Party's reluctance in prosecuting some appointees who engage in corruption and other corruption-related activities, co-convener of the brigade, Hamza Suhini, indicated that the group will not relent in exploring other avenues to advance their course against stealing of state funds and property.
Believe that when it comes to courage and perseverance, the Ghanaian youth with the right information have what it takes to ensure that we hold our governments accountable. We are tired of waiting for every political cycle to punish our politicians. I think that the time has come for us to demonstrate our resolve to demand accountability even before the election period, and that is what we seek to do. There are so many avenues available to us, and we have chosen to marshal the youth.
Next on News Tonight, we bring you business. In business this evening, the bustling markets in Ghana's southern cities and towns brim with fresh produce that nourishes the nation. These goods, cultivated in remote areas, arrive at our doorsteps due to the relentless efforts of traders who bridge the gap between farms and urban markets. But have you ever considered the sacrifices and challenges that these traders endure just to make this possible? Peter Kwao Adato takes you behind the scenes, spending a night at the Dambai market in the following report.
The
bustling markets of Ghana's cities are teeming with fresh produce sourced from remote farming communities. Each week, determined women embark on grueling journeys to locations such as Dambai, Ketekrachi, Yeji, among others, braving difficult conditions to secure goods for resale. These traders sleep in the open at these markets, facing harsh weather and discomforts, all to ensure that our kitchens are stocked. The obstacles they face are daunting. Inadequate shelter, unpredictable weather, and long hours of waiting, yet they persist, driven by the goal of maintaining a steady supply of essential foods. While their commitment to feeding the nation is unwavering, the struggles they endure often go unnoticed. Peter Kwao Adato spent a night with these resilient women at Dambai Market to capture their untold stories.
And I engage the equity, so I bet him for high hotel. And some transportation as I am by a bed. It's any old dana, so 12 cities are no Jala, yes, and so back high, 120.
An Accra resident, Doreen Tete, travels to Dambai every week to source goods. Along with other traders, she secures exports at Eda Ali's pavilion, which offers them some respite during these taxing nights. The pavilion has been the sole shelter for these women for nearly a decade.
In other business news, founder and leader of the Movement for Change, Alan John Kojo Trementing, has pledged to establish a local vehicle components manufacturing company to address the high cost of imported components. According to him, commercial drivers play a vital role in the Ghanaian economy, necessitating the prioritization of elements that complement their operations. The 2024 Independent Presidential aspirant made these comments after meeting with local executives of the GPRTU at the Neoplan Lorry Terminal at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle.
Spare parts. If you say Mashisha said, not you steel, because you are aluminum, and then you steel. Aluminum. Your boxer, any aluminum, and your iron, any steel, and now oil and gas, and now soon plastics. Now, so steel, or iron, or aluminum, now plastics are. Spare parts, with make a new big year. And she said, no, me person, and just said, yes, everyone said, yet to talk vehicles, I'm not one with the spare parts, so no, my cases and the bar. Answer the ever said, I spare parts. Due to levies and spare parts after 2 years, the baby BDF. So that's our transportation. The transport was buffer more, if you are able to buffer. Now, say, some women I buy 8 years. No, say, Ghana for or more about.
That's all the business news we've got for you this evening. Sports news is next, and Monica Bukhari is standing by to bring us the latest shortly. You're welcome back to News Tonight. Now in sports this evening, Monica Bukhari stands by. Monica, what more do you have for us? We understand that the head coach of the Black Stars has named the 23-man
squad, exactly. And we have Andre Dedeayu omitted from the squad, but Ashimeru and Naki Williams have made it to the squad. So I'll bring you details of that, plus some reactions that took place after that announcement. So do stay. Now, head coach of the Black Stars, Otto Addo, this afternoon announced his 23-man squad for the upcoming 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Angola and Niger. The squad, however, did not include captain Andre Dedeayu, who is currently without a club. Other players who were also omitted in the squad include Ernest Nyama, Forsen Amankwa, Salis Samet, Gideon Mensah, Kamaldeen Sulemana, Ibrahim Sulemana were all ruled out due to injury.
We have Joseph Wolocott from Korle Town. We have Frederick Asari from Asante Kotoko. Going to the defenders, we have Alidu Seydu from Stadran. We have Tariq Lamte from Brighton and Hove Albion. We have Alexander Jiku from Fenerbahce Istanbul. We have Abdul Mumin from Rayo Vallecano. We have Mohamed Salisu from AS Monaco. We have Jerome Opoku from Başakşehir, Istanbul. We have Ebenezer Anan from OFK Belgrade. And then we have Kingsley Schindler from Samsung Sport. In the midfield, we have Mohamed Kudus from West Ham United. We have Abu Francis from Cercle Bruges. We have Thomas Partey from Arsenal FC. We have Elisha Owusu from AG Auxerre. We have Majid Ashimeru from RC Anderlecht. And last but not least, the forwards, we have Abdul Fattah Ishiwaku from Leicester City. We have Joseph Pensil from LA Galaxy. We have Ibrahim Osman from Feyenoord Rotterdam. We have Antoine Semenyo from AFC Bournemouth. We have Iñaki Williams from Athletic Bilbao. We have Jordan Ayew, has now changed to Leicester City. And Brendan Thomas Asante from Coventry City.
Now, still on that, head of public relations and strategy at the Ghana Football Association, Neil Armstrong, has thrown his weight behind Black Stars head coach Otto Addo on his 23-man squad call-up for the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Angola and Niger. Coach Otto Addo named his full squad earlier this afternoon at a media briefing which took place at the GFA Secretariat here in Accra. And speaking on the sidelines after the media briefing, Neil Armstrong called on Ghanaians to throw their support behind Coach Otto Addo to enable him to execute his mission with the players available.
He's our coach. Whenever it is that we've engaged with him, whether privately or publicly, he's made it very clear that his decisions are based upon consensus with his additional coaching staff. So you've got your John Pencil, you've got Fatal, you've got the other assistant coaches, and together they come to collective decisions based upon what their plans are, based upon what they perceive as being the current form and status of the players that are at their disposal. Mind you, he keeps saying that there are so many players and some of the decisions are very, very close. So it's sometimes okay where you see some contentions as to why he took this guy over and above that other person, but at the end of the day, I keep saying that he has a job to do. He came in for a short stint, took us to the World Cup. We didn't perform. I think we're decent. Showed the signs of a team that could rise with time. We dipped. We brought him back to lift us back to where we were 2022 Qatar and potentially take us to a much, much higher level. So my take would be, coach has made his decision together with his technical staff. We will put our support behind him as we've always done, and we also urge our colleagues, Ghanaian supporters. At the last Congress, the President talked about winning the 12th man. And for us, it's a mantra that we are going to be preaching throughout this year and into the future. Without the 12th man, our supporters, this game is not a game. And we believe that the players that coach has selected will bring joy to Ghanaians, would play against a very tough Angola side, as he acknowledged. We will go to Morocco to play against Niger, who are also quite strong technically and physically. And hopefully after these this double header of qualifiers, we should see the makings and the shapings of the start of a very good qualifying campaign towards AFCON 2025.
And that's it for sports. My name is Monica Bukari Badu. Stay tuned. We have international news up next for you.
The forces said on Wednesday it was beginning a counter-terrorism operation. On Thursday, it said 12 people had been killed in the cities of Jenin and Tulkarm. The Palestinian Health Ministry reported a higher death toll, saying 16 people had been killed since Wednesday morning. The UN has called on Israel to de-escalate the ongoing raids, and the Palestinian mission to the global body has also condemned the attacks. Well, that is how we draw the curtains on news tonight this evening. Thank you so much for making the time. Now, you can also visit our website for lots more international and local stories. It was produced by Abdul Hanan Adam. I'm Natalie Fort. Have a lovely evening.